A blessed Tuesday to us. Today's Gospel reading presents to us the response of the Blessed Virgin Mary to Mary's, what we call, sometimes people say hysterical in a way, but really full of loving desire to have seen her cousin Mary visit her. And this is from the point of view of Elizabeth. Now, the response of Mary is actually, I remember particular scholars talking about the original genre of this Magnificat. By the way, that's also the responsorial psalm today. That these words supposed to be are spoken by an old woman, just like Hannah in the first reading, and Elizabeth supposed to be because she became pregnant. She was graced by God. But then, since we are talking about here the Lucan dimension, okay, the singularity of the Blessed Virgin Mary as the privileged maid servant, the words are put in the mouth of Mary. But what is interesting is, in today's Gospel reading, what happened after Mary said all these praises, the Magnificat, which we call, is her staying with Elizabeth for 3 months before he returned home. This is one interesting thing to note, that when Mary visited her cousin Elizabeth, who was already in her 6th month of pregnancy, she was in her first trimester when she served the old woman, Elizabeth. In other words, what is not written about what happened afterwards is actually left to our imagination. Okay, unsay nahitabo when Mary stayed with her cousin Elizabeth until she gave birth to John, and then she returned home. This is one interesting initial stage of the Gospel reading the Gospel according to Luke, about something that is not said, but it is for us to explore into the dimensions of the action perspective. After Mary had proclaimed her greatness to the Lord, after all the many things that we say out, that we speak about, there is that action dimension that is left in order to transpire aron mahitabo sa atong kinabuhi. So after Mary said the Magnificat, what happened after that remains to our imagination and our experience as well. Nga dili lang sa pulong tanan mahitabo, kundi sa buhat usab. And what was she doing during the 3 months? She was not experienced as a young lady and already pregnant as well, helping an old lady who is also pregnant for the first time. So siguro, as we say, daghan kayo ng mga gitawag natong mga unsay mga panghitabo, no? Mga trials and errors and everything. But the most beautiful picture is they were together and they were working it out precisely because they made incarnate God's love and God's message of salvation, helping each other. And you know, sometimes the best thing that we can do is without speaking, because it is in the way that we act and respond to the words that we are basically making the Word incarnate present and active in our lives. And that's also the same challenge that we take into account. It is good to be able to speak out. It is good also to write so much or sometimes long things about what is happening. But beyond it remains, unsa may atong gihimo, unsa may atong gibuhat. What are we doing in response to the word that we have received? And that is a lifelong project that we have to deal with and that we have to do, inasmuch as we are called to become partakers of the Word incarnate in our lives. And so we make good the words and the things that we think and that we say into concrete actions for good, for the truth, for justice, for peace and love. Amen.